So, what's a report? If I ask you, define a report, what would you tell me? Now, I would like you to formulate your answer against the backdrop of whatever we have been doing so far. We have, in writing, we have done describing, email writing, formal letter writing, and academic essays, publishable essays, uh, describing processes and experiments. So, a vast array of writing activities, and we have been through almost all of them. Now, these are the last couple of sessions for this course, and I thought it is prudent to save report writing, because after all there has to be some kind of a structure. So, we started with the basics of what's a word and what are the various parts of speech. Do recall what we have been doing so far. So, from there we have made a long journey, or rather a reasonably long journey, and we have arrived to a point where we can talk about writing academic reports. Now, we are basically talking about writing in academic situations and a report that you can submit for let us say your project. So, first of all, let us define a report. Report is not a story, it is not a narrative, it is not an exploratory kind of a writing. Remember all these things, it is not an argument, it is a sharp and concise document. It is written for a particular purpose, and remember, it has to have a definite and specific audience. A report sets out what are the objectives. It sets out and analyzes a situation or problem, often making recommendation for future action and discussing its findings. A report is an out and out factual process. It needs to be, again, clarity cannot be stressed enough. You have to be very clear and concise and specific, to the point. A report needs to have several sections and a particular kind of structuring that we will look at it. And remember that when we talk about sections, then headers should be carefully articulated so that information stays organized and can be easily accessed. Why do we need to write a report at all? Remember that a science project, when it is written, it is beneficial because not only it gives the students, that is you, the confidence to plan and conduct the project properly, but it is also it also leads to a better understanding of the project. So, before project comes the report, right? Before you start, it is better that you construct or formulate a report. It will give you some basic ideas, or perhaps let us call it a road map, a kind of a guide to the project. Now, talking about the structuring of a report, remember there has to be a clearly spelled out objective while writing a report. So, formulate your set of objectives very clearly and precisely. Remember to keep your target audience in and while planning a report. Okay? So, you have to keep your target audience in your mind while planning a report. Every audience has a different understanding of the subject and different concerns. So, you have to understand who are you writing that report for. If it is for a longer project or long term project, then think about the funding agency, okay, and the audience it is catering to. So, what are you, who are you addressing basically? So, understanding the subject, most important, and equally important, understanding the audience, who is it meant for. The title of a report. So, there are several. Now, if you talk about structuring a report, we have to remember the title, of course. You go or you read something based on the title. If the title is there of and if a title is of interest to you, it's worth exploring. So, the title should indicate the subject matter clearly. It should be followed by an abstract. We have done plenty of abstracts, remember? You have to remember, again I am reiterating, abstract is generally a one para summary of the report, and it typically runs into 150 to 200 words, but always gauge the mood for the person you are writing the report for. How much does he or she expect the report or the abstract to be? But there is a word limit, you can't go on and on in an abstract. You also remember how to identify the keywords. So, the abstract should state the purpose of the project and also some indication, it should give some indication about or of the methods and procedures that are followed. If possible, try to bring in the principal findings and conclusions also. Half a page abstract is ideal, and always keep an eye on the word limit. 200 words are very good, 250 to 300 words are of moderate length. So, keep in mind all these things, but abstract has to have a decent length, that is what I am trying to stress on. So, in abstract again give the outline, of course, you are going to flesh out the details later, and then of course, you have your introduction, and we have been talking about introduction for quite a while. So, what does an introduction do? Do you remember why we write an introduction? It sets the tone of the report and it explains in detail the aims and objectives of the report. Remember that you have to identify the problems or limitations in the scope of the report in your introduction, and if possible, if necessary, add the background history of this particular topic. What goes, what are the what is the kind of work that has already gone into making of this kind of subject matter. So, that is what I mean by background, and always describe the research methods and parameters of research. Now, what is background information? Now, this is always clubbed along or generally clubbed along with the introduction. Some people may give separate introduction and separate background, that is also acceptable, but then you have to talk to your instructor and your supervisor. So, remember that in background you have to give an overview of the history and importance of the problem. Now, if you are talking about automobile industry in your particular town or region or city, and you are talking about the present scenario. Let us say the topic deals with the present situation of the automobile industry in your region, in your town or city. Now, it is always good to give some kind of a background information. I mean, I am not talking about going back thousands of years ago, but how did automobile industries start making their presence felt in your town, and what were the trends and developments before you started your project. I mean, before the particular topic that you are talking about that came into being. So, the idea is that already things have already been there, and I am giving you example of an automobile industry. So, it has always been there. What were the major trends and developments in the automobile industry in your region? Let us say a couple of decades back. So, that is what I mean by your background. This background section should also provide the readers with previous findings by other researchers on the topic, related problems, along with why you want to do this project. Just because you do not have any other idea, that is not good enough reason to embark on a research project. So, you have to always you have to find something that motivates you, interests you, and that motivation should come across. There is also a thing called research gap. You have to now look into that also in consultation with your supervisor. So, these are the things that need to go into your background and in your introduction. Then we go on to state the problem. Now, let us suppose that your project is based on the study of a specific problem. In this case, you are required to define that problem. You remember we have been talking about the high rate of school dropouts. So, that is a problem. So, we define that problem. What do you mean by high rate of dropping out? So, it is not going to be all that easy. You have to understand why it is a problem. You have to be very well defined and very articulate about it, stating that problem. You should be clear about what hypothesis you are testing or putting forward a theory. Sometimes it may also happen that the report is all about communicating certain observations made under certain specific conditions. So, it is a descriptive report. So, various kinds of reports. There is a section called the procedures. Now, here you will have to talk about list of equipment used. What are the things or the tools you used in this while conducting this report before starting the project. And then of course, reports can also be submitted after the completion of a project. So, those are different kinds of reports. Then you have to talk about explanations of procedures followed. So, that is something that it can happen before and it can have after also. When you write before completion of a project, you have to talk about the anticipated procedures that you are going to find out or you are going to follow. If you have already completed your project, then you have to talk about it in how you are going to do it, how you did it at the end of it. Then you are also going to talk about the sources and methods of preparation of the materials used in the study, also talk about reference to problems faced and resultant procedural changes. If you have conducted a kind of preliminary study, so it is always good to talk about the problems faced, and remember your experiment should be open to repetition by anyone. So, you must describe in detail the equipment and any relevant conditions such as temperature or pressure, etc. I am talking now about lab reports. Okay, so I am not talking about writing reports on car industry or automobile industry. Okay, there you will of course rely a lot on your field work, but if you are talking about lab reports, then again you have to talk about list of equipment used, procedures followed. So, remember simple past tense description, go back to all those lectures that we have already done. This is about laboratory report and which has already been conducted. Then again you will talk about sources and methods of preparation of the materials used in the study. You will again talk about what are the problems that can happen. You have to write the equations well. In your field of study, writing equations and formulas is so important. So, and it is also necessary that in case you are asked to repeat your experiment, you should give everything in detail. So, very important to preserve and state your procedures well. And also it is always ethical to state if some procedures failed, so that others do not repeat them, or perhaps others might get interested in that perhaps it is a failure for one, but not someone else can succeed. So, always be open to these uh, kinds of eventualities. We will talk about how to write the analysis. You need to clearly interpret your data, your graph, your equations, your diagrams, and any other visual depiction of your data to convey your analysis. This is extremely important. You have to make notes on the facts and evidences gathered. So, that is your analysis. You have to relate your findings to the problem posed. It is always necessary. One thing leads to another, cause and effect relationship. This happened, therefore this happened, and then you draw your conclusion. Again, look out for some kinds of contradictions, some kind of roadblocks, some kinds of limitations. Now, look at the slide here. I am giving you one example of discussion and analysis. Let us read this particular slide. The full text is given, the link is given at the bottom of the text. There may be strong linkage disequilibrium between QTLs and a genome wide association study will be conducted to test the linkage disequilibrium in the future. Our results and those reported in the previous studies identified certain chromosomal regions that should be analyzed further. These regions may represent targets for marker assisted selection of maize cultivars with low ACE concentrations. In maize, kernels are the main edible parts for humans and animals. In this study, the kernels contain the lowest ACE concentration, while the main biomass products including the leaves, bracts, stems and axes had relatively high ACE concentrations. Now, look at the slide and look at this passage and look at some of the important words. So, conducted, linkage, reported, identified, previous studies. You remember the other day we were talking about prior studies. So, previous studies. So, this is the way you have to talk about, always give reference to things that have already been done, identification, analyze, analysis, analyzed, represent, and then you have to this research is something about the disequilibrium between QTLs and genome wide association studies, and the basic idea is the selection of maize cultivars with low ACE concentration. So, it should, even if a layman person, someone who is not into agriculture and not into these kinds of domains of study, that they should also understand what the report is all about. Of course, it is a report which is meant for people who are extremely specialized in this area. It is an article taken from the Nature magazine. I am sure you are all familiar with this journal. So, the things that we are expected to remember while doing our discussion, that most importantly, remember that facts and evidence that are gathered should be discussed with specific reference to the initial problem. This is the main body of the report discussion. It is lengthy, it should be lengthy, and it should be divided into headings and subheadings for clear understanding. All right. Generally, in good writing, in formal essays, we do not encourage numbering and writing bullet points. However, in scientific reports, it is all right to use bullet points and numberings. Always check with your supervisor about the format and layout. And of course, I cannot stress enough on originality. All sources should be properly acknowledged and correctly referenced. Always run your work through a plagiarism system. Now, generally a title page of a report, and we are talking about the title, the first page, it should contain or it should consist of the title of your work, of course. It should have your name, it should have your date and to whom the report is written for. It is always advisable that you state on the title page, you give a brief and explicit statement on the purpose of the report, if it is not clearly stated from the abstract. So, having done your introduction and your discussion and some talk about your findings, we always come to the summary. So, summary should again describe the contents of the report. You should always talk about what was found and what, if any, action is called for, and make it as clear as possible. Once you have finished with your first draft of the report, edit it thoroughly. Remember, in your table of contents, you should give list of different chapters and headings together with the page number. So, it has to be done very clearly. Number each chapter headings and subheadings in addition to providing page references, and numbering should be consistent. Pay attention to that. Very often students in their hurry for submitting the report on time, they do not follow this. Remember, results of a report should be clearly articulated. All the necessary diagrams, graphs or tables on the data gathered, they all lead to supporting your results. So, be careful about that. The results should be presented in this section in a logical order and without comments. Do not give your personal comments on that. It is not a narrative. And any comments, discussions and elaboration should be included in the next section, that is your recommendation, conclusion, that should show the overall significance of the contents in the report. They should reiterate the main arguments and highlight the major findings. Always list your recommendations. What do you want to be done? It is always good to mention something about roadblocks also. What are the possible problems you faced or anyone else who is going to embark on a similar study, what is he or she going to face? Remember, in conclusion, we do not include anything new. There is also something to be said about the appendix, or if you have more than one, then appendices. Appendices include all the supporting information that should not go in the main body of the report. And this generally includes lot of information about tables, graphs, questionnaires, surveys, transcripts, even photographs. And these materials can be constantly referred to in the body of the report. Appendices give more clarity and some kind of additional information about your work. What is a bibliography? We have been talking about bibliography. If you may recall, I showed you a good standard kind of a bibliography also. So, you have to remember how to list or how to construct a bibliography. It generally goes in alphabetical order by author, published sources, referred to in the report. And then remember that background readings can be listed separately in bibliography to acknowledge the works that are not really referred to in your report, but they are extremely relevant anyway. And then remember to talk about acknowledgements. Acknowledgement should be pleasant. Generally people talk about, I have seen that generally people are inclined towards discussing or acknowledging only good things that they have faced, and that is the way it should be. There are some exceptional cases where we also find that people talk about the stress they have been through, or the problems they have faced, but all that is not within the scope of this section. Acknowledgement is always done to express some kind of gratitude towards people who you met during the course of your research, writing your report, and you are appreciating them. So, remember the assistance of people or organizations who provided information, advice or help. Be positive here. There is another section called the glossary. Now, glossary of technical terms is important in your field of study. Remember that you should always provide an alphabetic list of technical terms which is used in the report, along with brief, clear description of the term. There may be, many a time there may be some kind of a term, technical term, which experts from other domain may not be too familiar with. We give glossary for such kind of people. Remember to include acronyms, abbreviations and standard units with that you have used in the text, and all these things can go in your glossary of technical terms. You should be able to understand the report brief, understand the purpose of the report as described in the instructions or the report brief. Remember who your audiences are and what is expected. Clarify any part of the instruction that you do not grasp before setting out to write the report. Remember that you have to gather and select information. So, for this purpose, read relevant literature. It is very important that you read relevant literature associated with your report and with your research. You should use tools such as questionnaires, surveys and experiments. You should select the gathered information according to its relevance to the report, and if something is not really relevant, you should leave it out. So, how you organize your material is important. Always group together the points that are related. You have to form sections and chapters according to logical continuity, and these sections should be ordered in a manner that is logically comprehensible and easy to understand. See, we have been talking a lot about writing academic essays. Report is somewhat different from essays, but the core is always similar. Good organization, good background research and grouping of the ideas. It goes in all kinds of good writing. So, I may be repeating myself, but I am repeating myself because these are different categories of writings. However, there are lots of overlap. So, please refer to the earlier lectures on what I mean when I say form sections and subheadings and insist on logical continuity. I can give you more information about logical continuity, numbering and transitioning from one paragraph to another. Okay, we have been through it all. So, remember you have to now link it all with the previous lectures. Remember that while you are writing your very first draft in a report, it is ideal to write the summary, contents and introductions after finishing the main body. And remember, of course, that everything, whether it is each chapter, section, paragraph, they all are well structured. Remember to introduce the main ideas well, elaborate and expand it by defining the key terms, present evidence that is key to support your point. I am talking about good paragraphing, you have done this. And then you have to discuss each piece of evidence in detail to show how it relates to your main idea. Always show the relevance to the rest of the report. Make every effort to make good transition to the next section of the report. first draft is over, but your work isn't. You have to review and redraft. So, reread the first draft after its completion from the perspective of the potential reader. Look for the structural clarity and logical continuity of the arguments. Make sure that arguments are well supported by relevant evidence, and then redraft the report accordingly. Redrafting is extremely important. And of course, you have to check for grammatical errors. You have to check the consistency in numbering each chapter, sections and subsections, and make sure that you have acknowledged and referenced appropriately. Now, here is a sample introduction. Take a look at the slide. It is just a sample. I would like you to read it, look at the way things are introduced and constructed. I know that we have done several examples earlier, but let's do one more in order to get things clearer. SIP, Systematic Investment Plan, works on the principle of regular investments. It is like your recurring deposit where you put in a small amount every month. It allows you to invest in an MF by making smaller periodic investments monthly or quarterly in place of a heavy one time investment. Please note that it is an MF because M has that kind of a sound, right. So, here is a typo, please correct it. It in an MF. In the next line it is corrected. So, in place of a heavy one time investment, that is SIP allows you to pay 10 periodic investments of rupees 500 each in place of a one time investment of rupees 5,000 in an MF. Thus, you can invest in an MF without altering your other financial liabilities. It is imperative to understand the concept of rupee cost averaging and the power of compounding to better appreciate the working of SIPs. SIP has brought mutual funds within the reach of an average person, as it enables even those with tight budgets to invest rupees 500 or rupees 1000 on a regular basis in place of making a heavy one time investment. So, what are we being introduced to? SIP. So, this can go very well in a background if you want to introduce the concept of mutual funds in your region or your town, just an example. So, what I want you to do now for the next exercise, I want you to listen or read the next slide, but before that please take down the questions that I want you to do. We are going to look at something. I want you to give a title of this passage. I want you to give the predict the audience, who is the target audience, and then write one or two objectives for the report. Now, this is very important to remember. What are objectives? Objectives are what are the tangible goals that you have set out to achieve. Objectives are different from aim. Aim is extremely broader in concept. Objective is something achievable. I want you to just predict that who are the audiences for whom is this following report written, and then what could be the possible objectives for this report. This is a complex activity I am giving to you. Please work in pairs. Let us now move on and look at the passage, look at the exercise. Let us read it and look at the slide. There are a total of 2,550 minerals that are far more rare and pricey than diamonds, but while their rarity would theoretically make them the most precious of minerals, many of these rocks just wouldn't work on a ring or in a necklace. In fact, several of the minerals are prone to melt, evaporate or dehydrate, and several gradually decompose when exposed to sunlight. So, why are these minerals even valuable? They tell researchers about the subsurface conditions and elements that created them, as well as insights into the planet's past biological upheavals. In fact, rare minerals represent Earth's truest distinctions from all other planets. Diamonds, ruby, emerald and other precious gems are found at numerous localities and are sold in commercial quantities, and thus are not rare in the sense used in this contribution, said the authors of a new paper describing the minerals in a news release. Uses of the word rare in the context of rare earth elements or rare metals are similarly misleading, as many thousands of tons of these commodities are produced annually. Now, keep looking at the slide and look at some of the interesting words here. Of course, I have already given you your task. What are you supposed to do? You have to give a title, predict the audience and write one or two objectives. If you are writing a report like this, what could be the objective? You have to just do some kind of intelligent predictions. But while we are doing this, look at some of the interesting uses. Now, look at rare and pricey. Pricey is a good word to have in your repertoire. Pricey is a very well accepted adjective. We do not commonly use it, but it is a good word. So, remember rare some good words and good vocabulary here, rare and pricey. Rarity, then look at the way rare, which is an adjective, has turned into rarity, that is a noun. Then look at an adverb like theoretically, it is defining or adding something to make. Then you have to look at other adverbs like gradually. Later on, we also come across some other interesting uses of adverb like the last word annually, occurring on an annual basis. So, I was also posed a query by one of you, the difference between said and told. Look at the way said, the authors. We do not say this statement and after that said the authors of a new paper describing the minerals. So, we do not say told the authors. Told always requires an object, told to. We do not say my father told me to do this. Okay? So, me is an object, remember that. There has to be, but said the authors, they made a statement, said the authors and said you do not need to really bother about or be concerned about who they said this to. Okay, but told has to necessarily have an object. He told. You can't say they told, the authors told. Then you have to say told whom. Okay, this is the difference. These are very subtle differences, but you have to keep in mind. If you want to learn more about the difference between said and tell or said and told, then please look it up. You just have to type in the difference between said and tell or say and tell, said and told, any of these combinations, and I am very sure that you will get numerous explanations for the differences. But there is a difference which I am telling you, told demands an object, the presence of an object. We have been talking so much about a report. So, let us talk about what is the style of a scientific report. Remember that you use past tense except when referring to established facts. Otherwise, everything goes in the past, but established facts like water boils at 100 degree, that is an established and a universal fact. So, you do not have to say water boiled at 100 degrees centigrade, that is an accepted fact. Otherwise, you write your report in past tense, unless and until, as I previously already mentioned, that you are about to embark on something, then you can say we will be doing this, but that is a rare occurrence. Generally, we talk about reports that some work has already been done and these are the results. Remember, you have to organize and how you have to make one major point, one main idea with each paragraph. Remember that you have to present background information only as needed in order to support a position. Reader does not need to know everything that you know. So, carefully sift through your information and then in a very academic way state the hypothesis and objectives. Do not oversimplify. Remember, as always, to pay attention to the tone. It is a serious academic endeavor. Be serious about it. Do not try to insert smileys and winks there. Be attentive to your grammar, vocabulary, spellings and appropriateness of sentences and phrases. Now, I am going to give you some reading and we are going to compare the introductions of 3 essays, 3 different introductions to the same topic, working mothers. So, working mothers is our topic and I want you to look at 3 introductions taken from various sources. I want you to discuss and arrive at some conclusion that which reads better and why. So, this is an activity that you have to do with your friends, with your classmates. Before you do that, there is a pre-reading activity for you and this is a discussion kind of activity, speaking that leads to some speaking. I want you to work in pairs and tell your partner whether it is a good idea for young mothers to have a career. I will repeat, you work in pairs and tell your partner whether it is a good idea for young mothers to have a career. Now, if I use, it just occurred to me that this is a career. So, how do you pronounce it? It is career. And this is a carrier. What is the difference? A carrier is someone who carries something, a cycle carrier. Okay, but a career is your job, your profession. Many a time, especially in our part of the world, people get terribly confused in spellings as well as in pronunciation, more in pronunciation than in spelling. So, please be very careful about that. Now, here is your introduction. Sample 1, please look at the slide. Every mom is a working mom, but some work outside of the house as well. They say with great rewards comes great responsibilities, and to bring up their children in an ideal environment, mothers work to support the family with finances. The reason behind working is not merely finances, there can be a number of other reasons for why women work. And here is the link for your full text. Now, I am not commenting, you have to comment. You have done enough reading and writing so far. Sample 2. In the past, in a traditional family, the man was responsible for all the financial matters and expenses, and the woman for the raising of the children and all the housework. But society has changed, and along with it, the family structure too. On many occasions today, the women help their husbands with the financial burden by working, but helping out is not the only reason today's women work. Today women are more independent and educated than they were in the past, and they share equal rights and responsibilities as men. But when women that work decide to get married and have children too and decide to continue working, then they must struggle to balance their domestic and professional roles. And I have given you the source also. So, look at the introductions first, and now I am going to give you the third sample. Working women generally make better mothers according to a report today. However, men complain that their wives were so busy earning money and caring for children that it left little time for them as a couple. Research by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation found that both parents thought the mother's paid employment had a positive impact by and large on family relationships. Men were particularly grateful for the money their wives earned, saying it meant they were able to share the financial burden. Now, why are we interested in all this? I want you to compare the three kinds of introduction and see which works best and how would you rework it. So, if you feel you can do something better, your exercise is, and I am giving you a writing task, you rewrite an introduction. You can take points from these three samples and come up with your original introduction to this particular topic. Now, let us look at this slide. We are doing some usage now, good usage and correct usage. Let us read it. The Y2K bug was a computer flaw or bug that may have caused problems when dealing with dates beyond December 31st, 1999. The flaw faced by computer programmers and users all over the world on January 1st, 2000 is also known as the millennium bug. The letter K, which stands for kilo, a unit of 1000, is commonly used to represent the number 1000. So, Y2K stands for year 2000. When complicated computer programs were being written during the 1960s through the 1980s, computer engineers used a 2-digit code for the year. The 19 was left out. Instead of a date reading 1970, it read 70. Engineers shortened the date because data storage in computers was costly and took up a lot of space. As the year 2000 approached, computer programmers realized the computers might not interpret 00 as 2000, but as 1900. Activities that were programmed on a daily or yearly basis would be damaged or flawed. As December 31, 1999 turned into January 1st, 2000, computers might interpret December 31, 1999 turning into January 1 or January 1st, 1900. Let me give you the exercise. I want you to find any 3 adjectives and 2 adverbs. Please revise your adjectives and adverbs. Next question is find the meanings of flawed, data storage and complicated. How you use these words. And then I want you to form words from the following words: storage, space, daily and interpret. Remember how you form words? Make a noun out of verb and an adverb and adjective as well. This is what I want you to do here. So, practice your word formation and expand your vocabulary. All right. Now, let us look at this line and I want you to correct the following. He is no more working here. I can able to do this project. The seminar was preponed due to bad weather. Do you live in T Nagar side? I am simply sitting here. We used to go to cinema every evening nowadays. Last date for the updation of student records is tomorrow. What's wrong with these sentences? Let's look at the sentences, look at the slide. He is no more working here. A better way would be, he is not working here anymore. I can able to do this project, I am able to do this project, or alternatively you can say I am able to do this project or I can do this project. The seminar was preponed. Again, this is not an acceptable word. We may use it, but we don't, it is not a correct usage. The seminar was advanced due to bad weather. So, you postpone or you advance, you don't prepone. Opposite of postpone is advance. Do you live in T Nagar side? Side is not necessary. Do you live in T Nagar is more than sufficient. I am simply sitting here. Now, simply is an odd word here. I am sitting here, or you can say doing nothing. But simply sitting here is a very ambiguous kind of a sentence. We used to go to cinema every evening nowadays. Remember, used to is used only when something has ceased to take place, is no longer happening. If you are doing it nowadays, you are going for a walk every day or going to cinema every day, then you can't use the word or the verb used to. So, I go to cinema every day nowadays. Last date for the updation of student records. Updation is a wrong usage. We do not say upgradation and updation. Okay. You upgrade or you update. You do not force a noun there. Look at this slide. It will give you more examples and more explanation on about when to use can and when to use able. Now, look at this slide, and this is another activity, a revision of what we have been doing so far. I want you to fill in the blanks using the auxiliaries be, do and have forms. Look at the sentences. What time, and I am not going to give you the answers, please discuss in pairs. What time dash she get home every day? When dash you going to finish your graduation? Sam dash arriving on the 8 o'clock flight tomorrow evening? A clear glass capillary tube dash fixed in a beaker to start the experiment. The water dash already boiled for 20 minutes. The examinations dash not begun yet. Alaska dash a lower average temperature than Delhi. Remember the exercise, your auxiliaries. Please revise and fill in the blanks appropriately. Discuss the answer with your classmate. Now, here is a useful slide for you. Please look at it. Here are a list of references for report writing. So, thank you very much.